And this is map number 3 here of a best of 3. It's the 4th series in the Forlorn Hope, and we've got a nice little PvZ on our hands. It's tied 1-1 currently. And up to the top right, representing Vega Squadron, it is DmC. And his opponent down to the bottom left, playing for Acer, it is Nerchio.
You know, I'm really amazed how today has been playing out, because I looked at your schedule and I saw that you scheduled an hour for every best of 3, and at an offline event, you know, I can sort of dig that, an hour for a best of 3, because you have a pre-game interview, you have some post-game analysis, and you have some staff people moving around. So an hour of best of 3 is a very realistic schedule, but for an online tournament, I was like, oh, well, you know, probably by best of 3 number 3, we will be a solid 45 minutes ahead of schedule. But so far, it's actually been pretty much like on schedule what you had in mind, unless this game like ends super quickly, then we're a little bit ahead of our schedule. But I'm surprised. That really shows that we had long drawn out series, because it's not like we had a whole lot of downtime with absolutely nothing to do. Like, it's been pretty much non-stop action. So
yeah, it's gone nicely, and I think the games have been overall quite balanced. There's not been any real whitewash games, and I think that always really enhances it. We've had obviously a good showing from everyone involved, and it definitely makes it a lot more fun. And sometimes in online events, especially with open events, you can end up with obviously very one-sided early rounds, which is where games can be over exceptionally quickly, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we're going in now. Just taking a look at openings. Nerchio went for that pool first again, but no gas this time. Just getting out the fallings at the moment. DmC, though, shouldn't be too concerned. He did go for the Nexus first opening, as he's done every game this series.
Yep. Yeah, not too much to it so far. He looked very solid earlier today in Overgrove. I think a lot of people who are watching the show right now were perhaps not awake for our first series, or were just not able to watch it yet for whatever reason. Or you guys were not aware of it. In that case, make sure you are tomorrow. But DmC looked really good on Overgrove against Bly. It was just what I like to refer to as the Deer style of late 2013. You know, what's pretty much became a standard in this matchup, where you get 3 gates and then you go up to 3 bases, and you add your Twilight console, your robotics facility, and you scout with hallucinated phoenixes to make sure that your opponent is not switching into middleless. And then at a certain point, once you have 165, 170 supply, and you made it through that phase in the game without losing anything, then you just start being aggressive. It's just a really solid way of playing Protoss. It may be a little bit boring for the observer at first, but often the mid game is very entertaining and action-packed, so it kind of makes up for it. And that looked good and looked promising, so I almost see no way or no reason why he shouldn't try to do that again, because he executed it well, if you ask me, and I think you would agree.
I think he did it beautifully, so it is going to be interesting to see what happens mid-game-wise, but at the moment, Nerchio, I'm just taking a look at what he's doing. He's just being your usual Zerg, droning up heavily, taking his 3rd hatch. That was nice and early. It came down actually really nice and early, so this is all good news for Nerchio, responding good to the build that DmC went for. Yeah, we're going to have that early game lull just while these two start ramping it up, but mid-game should have a lot in store for us. In terms of gases, where do you reckon DmC is going to start spending this? He's banking up a decent-ish chunk. His Mothership core is already done.
Right. I'm not sure, indeed. That's a little more gas than if he would just plan on making some sentries, because right now he's not really able to spend it, but maybe he's just going to spend it a little later. I'm not expecting a Stargate play from him on this map, just because, you know, he looked so good with that style earlier today, so there's almost no reason for him not to do it. But you do make a very solid point. That's 330 gas. It's banged up. If this was Letot casting, then Letot would get very excited, and he would be like, oh, that's really a lot of gas. Where is he going to spend this gas? And now we see the robotics facility actually going down as part of the wall. So this is why, you know, when Letot gets excited, you know something is going to happen. I learned so much from Johan, you have no idea.
Letot is, of course, a bit of a master. Coming down here, and we've got, well, a couple of pylons already here. Nerchio does see one of them, but I doubt that he's going to come and check down to the right. Now he's found this one slightly higher up, so that could be a nice...
This seems like one of those. This seems like one of those moments where a pros player will put on a little bit of gateway pressure, but will have the ability to recall out, and then the Immortal Sentry. That's going to be the real strong follow-up. Nerchio opened up gasless, so this is actually a little bit tricky to deal with. Those queens are in awkward position as well. If DmC is able to capitalize on that and get both of them, that's really nice. It's an excellent start. All of these links are still slow links, so right now DmC can kite this. This is actually looking really good because Nerchio is only on 38 drones. He is forced to make more and more and more units. By the time that he has the right amount of units, DmC is just going to recall out, and he's setting himself up for that Immortal Sentry follow-up. He's doing this very well, Metals.
He really is. He's right on cue, just backing out, loses absolutely nothing, but still deals out actually a fair chunk of damage overall. It's going to be able to pick off another Overlord as well. They're trying to scout. Did that Overlord see the all-important robotics facility? It did. Okay, so at least Nerchio gets a bit of a scout there and an idea of what's following this up if he didn't know for sure. It's going to try and counterattack, but it's going to be exceptionally difficult to break when there's already some sentries and that Immortal out here.
Yeah, this is not a realistic counterattack. I think what they should do is tuck those units away in the third base of DmC. And then wait until DmC leaves and then counterattack. Because right now he really won't be able to achieve anything with it. He's not even going to get the pylon. And instead he has to be careful. Well, maybe he can get the sentries. It's a lot of Zerglings. I don't think that Nerchio is going to be able to win the game with this. But if he picks up 3-4 sentries, then it's actually still very well done. Maybe even an Immortal. Wow. Okay, that counterattack that looked so unimpressive. That obviously was never going to break DmC. Nerchio did a really good job in chipping away that pylon. Giving DmC the idea that his army is very strong right now and that he should totally try to catch a couple of those retreating roaches. But instead, that plan backfired. And that was a massive pickup for Nerchio. Really well done. I like to believe that Nerchio is brilliant enough to set that up all along and have that idea with, that entire move out. And that went really well.
It did go. And I think that's the thing. DmC didn't have to lose anything there. He could have sat behind that wall completely safe, but he chose to move out. Maybe getting a bit overconfident. We saw it from Nerchio in game number 1 in the defense of the two-base Blinkstalker play. But now DmC falling prey to it, losing those. It was actually 3 sentries that went down there. So
and one Immortal. The Immortal is so important as well. There's a lot of Zerglings on the map for Nerchio, and Nerchio's not going to wait until the reinforcements are here, or he's once again going to just surround this army. Okay, this time just loses a bunch of Zerglings immediately. The thing is, these roaches, okay, we have 2 Immortals in the mix. 2 Immortals might be enough. This is still a pretty close fight. It might go DmC's way. So far it looks like it's okay. The thing is, he doesn't have a Warp Prism, so if the Immortals start being exposed, they could die. One of them is exposed. He's trying to save it, and he will save it. Okay, that's massive. I think DmC is going to win.
DmC moving forward. Now Nerchio is struggling in terms of the unit count. He's got 22 Lings and 5 Roaches. There's a lot of Zealots in this composition already, though. More Sentries warping in as well. There's additional pylons being produced across the map. Nerchio is really scrambling to try and get out a couple more units here to try and fend this off. There's only 1 spine, and overall, this is a nice position for DmC to be in.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice position. He did use most of his energy, but it does not really matter. He's up in supply, and when you're up in supply with Immortals, Zealots, Sentries, and Stalkers against just Roaches and Zerglings, you know you did something right in this game. Now there is actually a Warp Prism mix as well. That's going to make his life even better. He can reinforce closer, he could even reinforce on creep. There are 8 Hydralisks on the way, but even if Nerchio survives now, then what? He's a 2-base Zerg. Then DmC just drops a robotics facility. But I don't even think that Nerchio is going to survive. He's going to end up losing this hatchery. This is a beautiful position for a Protoss to be in, to just drop force fields all day, every day. A couple of Zerglings streaming in from behind is nice, but I'm afraid it won't make the difference.
Natural Hatch is about to fall, gets taken down, and with that Nerchio is making a last clamber for hopes. And good force fields preventing drones escaping, preventing a lot of these Roaches from engaging. A couple of Hydras are popping out, which is certainly bolstering this. And DmC is losing quite a substantial amount, but his reinforcements are coming through thick and hard.
Yeah, he could actually just try to get a couple of sentries out of here with the Warp Prism. He doesn't do that. So he will end up losing the majority of his units, but he killed 2 out of the 3 bases. Like, Nerchio has almost no economy left anymore at all. Even his main, and okay, I guess he has 300-400 a patch left, so it's sort of okay. He could have controlled it a little better. I don't think that he should have killed the hatch. He should have just kept force fielding, because that was going really well for him. The moment he killed the hatch, he allowed all of the Hydras and Roaches to stream through, but, you know, unless he dies right here and right now, which he really shouldn't, he's still in a really good position.
There's a complete wall off, a sentry, a lot of Zealots there. I can't see Nerchio being able to break through. He does pull back. On a slight good news for Nerchio, he was able to secure this base up to the north position. So at least he has got 2 bases now, transferring those drones. But his drone count, it's very, very low at the moment. And the follow-up from this on DmC is finished up his robotics bay. He's getting his 3rd Immortal out now. He is just so far ahead.
Wait. Did he cancel his robo bay?
He must have done.
Wow, he canceled his RoboBay. Okay.
I thought he finished that. No, yeah, definitely
Yeah,
canceled.
no, it was almost done because it was definitely going down because that is just the right response if you ask me. You see your opponent as Hydras, but I think his logic behind this is like, well, I'm not even afraid of Hydras anymore because this is a one-base Zerg. So yeah, Hydras are good, and if he had 2 or even 3 hatches, I definitely would need a RoboBay to follow this up and make sure I don't die to Hydras. But right now, there's no way he has enough money to produce enough Hydras for me to be scared of. So I'm just gonna try, but this gives Nerchio a small chance in this game. It's 67 army supply against 67, but there are a lot of Hydralisks on the mix. This would really be a big throw. If DmC loses this game, and the start of this fight is not really going his way, those force fields are not the ones he needs either. What's going on today, Metal?
This is a very, very strange position. Nerchio is now up in army supply, and the Hydralisk, as you mentioned,
They're pushing out so much damage.
there's just enough of them. They're slowly shredding this army. DmC being slightly indecisive whether he actually wants to go in. But every time he half commits and then retreats, the Hydras pick off a handful of Zealots. The Zealot count is now gone. Nerchio diving on top of this, focusing down the Immortals quickly. This is beautiful play. DmC is going to lose his entire army here. Nerchio, well, he's being force fielded out for them now, but...
Those were the first good force fields, like 2 minutes into that battle. But I still think it's going to be enough. There is too much HP. This is truly unbelievable. GG is called, and wow. If you talk about trolls killing 2 out of 3 bases, being up in supply when you're just fighting roaches and lynx, and somehow still losing, that's not even a troll anymore. That's really impressive. But I mean, obviously, really impressive from Nerchio as well. DmC just making a couple of crucial arrows there in a row. This is insane. I cannot believe that just happened.